Greetings and salutations. My name is OJ as always, and welcome back to another episode of the Deadlockathon, a series of videos where I go over every single character in Valve's not so secret hidden game Deadlock. I'll be going in alphabetical order from Abrams to Yamato. I'll be going over their lore, their personality, their gameplay and abilities, as well as their design. Please do keep in mind that everything I talk about in these videos is subject to change at a later date, as that is just the nature of a game like Deadlock that is still actively being developed. And if you wish to play Deadlock for yourself, I will throw my Steam name up on screen. All you need to do is send me a friend request, subscribe, and I'll give you a code. Very bad plug, I know, but we keep it rolling. Please do keep in mind though that codes can take 1 to 2 days, maybe longer to come through, so please just be patient. But with all of that said, our object of obsession for today is a woman who is a part of an organisation that steals from the rich because she's very, very bored. That being none other than Paradox. Now, as I like to do in all of these videos thus far into this series, I would like to start by reading off her in-game background and discussing some little lore and tidbits about her, as well as discussing, of course, her personality. But with that said, her in-game background reads as such. Paradox. An artifact of time and the name of a notorious thieves guild. One that prides themselves on constructing elaborate heists that target the most untouchable of individuals and institutions. What does Paradox do with the countless artifacts, state secrets and celebrity paternity tests that they have stolen? Put it on display at pop-up museums so that they can show the world that no one is out of Paradox's reach. Shrouded in mystery, each member of Paradox dons a mask and takes on the organization's name. They are everywhere. They are nowhere. And if they want something, they are inevitable. Right, so you immediately may have a question. Why is the Paradox organization doing the things they're doing? Are they just doing it for the fun of it? Are they just trying to expose all the dark secrets in the world and bring down these evil corporations and blah blah blah? Well, I think the answer may surprise some of you, and to show said answer, I'm now going to play a quote from Paradox, the character.
How often does your little social club gather?
A few times a year?
I'm assuming your ilk like to brag about what they stole?
We're a bunch of bored rich people. Of course we brag about what we stole.
There you go. They're a bunch of bored rich people. Incredible. Truly fantastic. Yeah, Paradox, as in the Paradox organization, is a group of bored rich people who steal stuff for the fun of it, I suppose, which is kind of funny to me, because initially when you hear their ideas and some of the stuff they have stolen, like blackmail on Fairfax and shit like that, you would think they would maybe kind of a steal from the rich, give to the poor type, like a stereotypical thieves guild. No, they're just a bunch of bored rich people that steal stuff for the fun of it. And you know what, I can't even hate that. I really can't. I think that's kind of funny. Instead of just ruining lives and spending money where it doesn't need to be spent, why not steal other people's stuff and put it in a museum for fun? I'm gonna read off a list of some of the stuff they've stolen, such as the Ghent altarpiece, the Tome of Anubis, which, I mean, hello? Tome of Anubis? Excuse you? As I mentioned, blackmail on Fairfax, a Hellenistic bust of Homer, one of Johann Geist's paintings, which is Lady Geist's husband, or was Lady Geist's husband, Booth's Derringer, and the location of one of Seven's safe houses. Seven does threaten to pop Paradox's eyes like grapes for that, by the way, because, I mean, it's Seven. Of course he would. Where's the surprise? Speaking of Paradox, the woman, as in the character, not the organization, we don't really know anything about her, which, of course, is because, Paradox's secret organization. She is just a member of many. She could be, there's probably hundreds of them, I want to guess, and she is just one of those hundreds. Some of we don't know exactly what she specifically has stolen, but she does show interest in robbing Abrams for his tome, Holiday for her revolver, McGinnis for her research as well as the secret she holds for Fairfax, Nashala, as in the person, any rare books that Paige may have, Pocket's suitcase, and Yamato's sword. So she's got our eyes on quite a lot of the cast, and I'm now going to play an interaction that shows her interest in Kelvin.
I I don't suppose you have any trinkets you'd be willing to donate to the Paradox Museum?
Why do I have the feeling that you already robbed me?
Who's to say? We definitely planned on robbing you during the ritual, but my colleague may or may not have broken into your home yet.
I'm not sure what to say to that.
Be flattered that you lived a life interesting enough to be robbed by us.
Also, you may have noticed a little thing about the way Paradox speaks. Yeah, she's Scottish, which I think is actually cool. That's kind of odd. You don't really see Scottish people in a lot of stuff, and if they are in things, they're usually stereotypes, but that's just my personal experience. And I mean, she's the closest we'll get to having like an English character in the game. The day that happens, I'll probably cry myself with laughter. Personally, I'm sure some of you have seen him, but there is a character that got leaked called Priest. You know, if he was British, I think that would be incredibly funny. Like, I know he's not going to be, I know he won't be, but it's kind of funny. Though, okay, this is something I need to discuss, because my mind has just been boggling around this question. Why is Paradox in the ritual? And why is a Scottish woman running around New York? I mean, the latter part, that could be easily explained away, such as, you know, oh, she got rich in Scotland and moved to the cursed apple to, you know, enjoy the money that she has. But why is she in the ritual? What's she asking for? Because I have literally skimmed through like all of her interactions. I can't find shit. I can't find nothing. I got no clue why she's in this ritual. I've got no clue what she's going to ask for. I have no clue what she's looking for. Like, what, is she just going to be like, I'm going to ask for the power to rob everything and everything I could ever wish for? What? Hello? What is your deal here? Why are you here? Like, what is getting a wish from the patrons steal, like the biggest steal that, I mean, I guess when it comes to the organization, the majority of the stuff they have stolen is from rich people. So stealing a wish from the enemy team to a literal god would be a pretty big steal, a pretty big crime. But I don't know. I have no idea what Paradox wants, as in the person. And yeah, she's kind of, I'm not sure what she wants. I genuinely, I've got no clue. But still, speaking of Paradox, the person, as I said, we know nothing about her. We know she's Scottish, as I said, and funny enough, we know that she wants to lead the Paradox organization. Oh, that's why she wants to. Oh, yeah, you just watched me in real time realize that my entire spiel about, oh, why does she want to be part of the ritual? The Amber Hand literally says, you'll show the other members of Paradox why you are fit to lead. Summon me. That's why she wants to summon the patron. She wants to lead Paradox. That makes sense. Yeah, I don't even... What would that even consist of? What would leading Paradox consist of? Because from what we know, Paradox kind of work on a person-by-person basis. Like, most of the goals or things that they go after are independent. It just depends on what the person in question, or the member of Paradox, wants to do. So, for example, our Paradox member that we have in-game wants to steal Abram's home, Holiday's revolver, etc., etc. So, what would leading them really consist of? Would you just, like, call for the meetings every now and then? Because per, you know, the interaction with Lady Guy, she does say that there are meetings that they, you know, go to. So, would that be what that consists of? Because otherwise, I have no idea what that would consist of. Like, it's just, huh? What would leading Paradox be like? Either way, I like the Paradox. The Paradox organization is very intriguing to me because, I mean, they're just kind of interesting. It's a group of rich people that steal from other rich people for the fact that they're just bored. They don't just steal artifacts either. They steal, like, you know, state secrets, blackmail, and as I mentioned in her lore entry, or her background, they steal, like, paternity tests for celebrities. That's just kind of a funny idea. Like, it's kind of silly. But, like, they're intentionally meant to be mysterious. They're meant to be a mysterious group that doesn't actually have any, like, identity. They're meant to all be, you know, mysterious. I just said that. But, like, we're not meant to know more about them, but I kind of want to know more about them. Maybe we can get another member from the group? I don't know. You can't really include... They're all called Paradox, by the way. Like, everyone that is part of the organization goes under the name Paradox, which I mean, adding another member would make it confusing, because if there's two paradoxes, I feel like the world would get... I feel like a Deadlock game would be really, really annoying. Can you imagine laning up against two paradoxes and you're like, Paradox is on top of me. Which one? Like, it's kind of stupid. But maybe they could do like a estranged member of Paradox that despises what like an old member of Paradox that despises what the group has become, or some stupid stuff like that. But anyways, besides, like, because not only, Paradox herself, as well as the organization she is a part of, is mysterious, there was, like, not too much to talk about. I know I've been talking for, like, 10 minutes straight, but there isn't actually that much to talk about. But I would like to mention, before I move on anywhere, or whatever, is, like, personality-wise, who is Paradox? A very playful person. She likes to joke around a lot. She is very much, per Grey Talon's admission, style of a substance. She probably does have substance, but she definitely puts emphasis on style. Like, almost everything she does clearly has some sort of flair to it, from the way she, like, I'll go into it once we get into gameplay and stuff and, like, actual character design, but she does care a lot about the way she looks and the style she has. Never explicitly says it aloud, but I can tell that, she doesn't want to just steal things. She wants to do it in style. She wants to look cool while doing it, even if no one's seeing her. Which I respect that. A woman got to look cool while she's stealing stuff. I completely respect that. But as a result, a lot of her interactions are kind of like quite jokey. She kind of jokes around with, stealing stuff from people, like committing a crime per se. I like Paradox. I like her personality, and honestly, a lot of her personality is carried just by the fact that she has a Scottish accent, or that she is Scottish. I think the Scottish sort of accent just carries a lot of what she says. And if any of you are curious, we do actually know her voice actor, and her voice actor is known as Ellie Newlands, who I checked her IMDb page, and like before in the last video, I just read off the 4 things they were most known for. But the 4 things Ellie Newlands is most known for is a game I don't recognize, and basically just saying, oh, background voices. But I'm sure the majority of you, me included, will recognize her as Horizon from Apex Legends, another Scottish woman, to no surprise. Which, I mean, I love Horizon. The second I heard Paradox, I was like, that sounds familiar. I mean, I know there ain't many Scottish women voice actresses in the business, but I could hear Paradox and I was like, that's Horizon. That's that funny woman from Apex Legends. Yes, I did just do like a little point on my screen and everything. But yeah, like a lot of Ellie Newland's voice acting, as you heard from the interactions that I played, kind of carry a lot of her voice lines. Like, if they were delivered by anyone else, I feel like, they'd be still good, but I feel like Ellie Newland's kind of puts that kind of playful tone to it. It's not explicit per se, it's just kind of hidden a little. Like, she is just kind of I mean, she's one of the few characters in the game that, like, teases Seven. Seven's literally like, Mr. Murder Man, I will explode your brain with electricity. Like, there not many people really want to mess with him per se, but she does, playfully tease him until, of course, he threatens her. Like everyone, like, I mean, what a surprise. I would back away from Seven if he started threatening me. But the fact that she has the Scottish accent really just kind of sells a lot of her personality. I don't know why. It just kind of like scratches a itch in my brain. The Scottish accent, the way she speaks, is just kind of, it scratches my brain. She's one of those characters, kind of like, scratch an itch on your brain that needs to be scratched through voice alone. Seven, funny enough, is another one that does that for me. But yeah, Paradox, due to their nature as a, secret organization of thieves, there isn't much on them, and as a result, there isn't much on Paradox herself, outside of, the interactions that she has and blah, blah, blah. So, with all of that said, and her, very short lore and her personality discussed, I'd like to now move on to talking about her gameplay and abilities. Please do keep in mind though, for this section I'll be recording in OBS for audio and visuals at the same time, so if I sound a little bit different from the transition, I do apologise in advance. But with that said, we are now going to talk about her gameplay and her abilities. Right, so here we are in the ever so lovely and ever so helpful training range to talk about Paradox's gameplay. And as I like to do in all of these videos, let's start with her gun, known as Trade Secret. Now, this is a, how many burst? A 5 burst, is it an assault rifle? I don't even know what I would call this thing. Handgun, maybe? It's a 5 round burst weapon, Let's go with that. This is a very good weapon. Like, I'm going to be real with you. This thing can do some serious damage. It's good in lane due to its large magazine size and the fact that, you know, like, say if I, you know, run on over to the lane and can find some enemies, like, it does good damage to minions, is easy to secure souls with, and has a large magazine size. Like, if you dump a mag into an enemy, it's not like you're going to be left with, like, no bullets, so you have to reload as you watch the soul helplessly float upwards just to be shot by an enemy. You will almost always be able to secure your souls. You can even pre-fire your souls if you feel like it. And it does decent damage to minions, allows you to clear wave, has quite good range, all things considered. Like, I mean, not bad damage considering how far away I am. Like, it's a very solid weapon. And you'll notice this, but long range is the name of the game for Paradox. Almost everything she wants to do can be done from a longer range away. And her gun only further emphasizes that due to the nature of, you know, being a burst rifle, having, you know, very good range. I will admit its reload time is a little bit slow, but it's nothing you need to really worry about. It's not like super slow. Like, if I check the stats, what is it? 2.58? That's not bad. Like, if I go to Lady Geist, 2.58, it's the same reload time as her. Calvin, 2.58. It's like the default reload time, I think. It's for the most part, it's the default reload time. It's default. Let's just call it the default for my sake, right? But yeah, I actually quite like this weapon. It does have a little bit of recoil to it, which I think is quite interesting. Most other guns in this game don't really have any recoil, actually. So this thing kind of having a tiny bit of recoil makes it, you know, not like hard to use, but it takes a little bit more thinking to use, which, you know, whatever. So it's literally almost non-existent recoil. Like, as you just saw, like, there is literally nothing wrong with me shooting like that. You get the you get my point. You understand my point. It's a good gun. You can fight from long range. You can fight up close and personal if you wish. It does good damage both in lane against enemies, etc. And of course, you can build into it because, you know, as I said, it's a solid gun. So you can quite easily, you know, build into weapon-related or gun-related items. But anyways, with that said, actually, before we move on, I did mention earlier that Paradox is kind of style over substance. That's what Lady Geist says. I don't know who says it. I think Grey Talon says that she's style over substance. But to just show some of her style, look at this dash animation, man. She does not need to be doing all of this. Why is she doing a 360 slide on the floor? What is her problem? Like, I love her dash animation. Like, she has no reason to do a 360 slide on the floor, but she does it anyways, and I think it's just funny. The only other character who I find that like that much joy in their dash animation is like Doorman's, because he does that like sort of Olympic run sprint for half a second. That one always gets a giggle out of me. But yeah, she is quite stylish and I do like her a lot, but that's more for the design point and we'll get to that later. Anyways, her first ability is known as Pulse Grenade, or Time Bomb if you want to be cool. It's a 6-meter radius, a 3.2 second duration, and a 28-second cooldown. You throw a grenade that begins pulsing when it lands. Each pulse applies damage, movement slow, and a stacking damage amplification for Paradox against the victim. It does 40 damage at base. The damage amp per stack is 6%. The pulse's intervals is 0.8 seconds. So what is that? 0.8, 1.6, 2.4. So you get 4 pulses in one bomb at base. The amplification duration, so the extra damage, is 8 seconds long. The move speed penalty is minus 30%, and the slow lasts for 2 seconds. So yeah, a lot there, but just to show what it looks like, if you press 1, you'll hold up like a little bomb in your hand, you'll get the targeting reticle, and if you lob it, you'll see that it turns into this like, I want to say it's meant to be an hourglass, but that really don't look like no hourglass. But as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4. It will explode immediately upon impact, so you can just kind of like lob it at a person, and then it does its damage, and as you can see, it will, you know, get its little stack rising. I don't know if there's a max stacks. I feel like the max stack is probably 8, but does it just keep going up? Like, can we go up forever and ever? Is this an infinite stack? I'm going to settle on the idea that it's probably infinitely stacking, but I'm going to be completely real with you. You are not going to be infinitely stacking your bombs. No offense, you're not going to be infinitely stacking your bombs. But this ability is one of her kind of two pathways. So, as most characters do, you can build into 3 different sort of pathways. You can go gun, you can go tank, and you can go spirit. Not many characters can actually build full tank. Like, the only characters that really can in my mind are like Abrams, and you can do like Tank Billy as well. I've seen people do Tank Lash, Tank Shiv, Tank Victor is obvious, right? Not many characters really build into tank. Like, of course they're gonna, benefit from some green items, but they're not just gonna like stack 20 of them. Paradox kind of goes down 2 pathways, and it relates into her abilities. We'll discuss the ability that allows her to build into gun later, but for the most part, if you wish to do a spirit build, that's going to benefit your grenade the most. I think I have a build actually that, intro to bomb. This build is designed to, maximize the potential in your bomb, or the time bomb at least. I've never seen anyone actually call it by its name. I don't think I ever see anyone call it like, oh, Paradox's grenade. Everyone just calls it Paradox's bomb. I mean, I call it bomb. But yeah, this is one of her 2 pathways. And because of that, this thing is very strong. Obviously, at base, it's fine. Like, most of the time you'll throw this, like, early on, if you throw this into lane, most of the time you'll get, like, maybe 1, 2 of the pulses to hit, and then they'll just run out of it, or you may only get 1 and they'll just dash. But later on, when you have, say, Mystic Expansion, where it makes your bomb wider, increased duration, makes your bomb last longer, your bomb will be a menace. You can kind of just throw it into a choke point, or throw it into a just generally confined spaces, and you'll just watch them just take damage, really high damage, actually, mind you. This thing can do some serious damage later on, and I mean, not to say it's bad, like near the beginning, like mostly in lane, where this bomb shines is not from its damage, but from the damage amp, because now you're just going to be doing like 6% more damage on everything you do for 8 seconds. 8 seconds doesn't sound like a long time, but in Deadlock terms, it is. And, the extra slow, or the slow that it does is, relatively potent. But as the game goes on, as I said, this ability will last longer, get wider, do even more damage, apply status effects, and then you'll be able to literally obliterate people with just like a bomb. I think you can also use Echo Shard, which you can then make it so, it's just to show what that actually does. If I turn off no cooldown, throw the bomb. Oh no, it's on 27 cooldown. Press Echo Shard. Wow, 2 bombs. See the idea? The idea is, throw bomb, Echo Shard, throw another bomb, stack up a bunch of extra damage, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea, right? The bomb is where you're going to be going if you want to do a spirit build. I mean, of course you can, do a spirit build for other stuff, but honestly, the bomb is where most of your spirit damage is really going to come from. Obviously, your third ability is... Well, actually, no, your third ability doesn't do spirit damage. Well, it does do spirit damage, but it doesn't scale with spirit damage. See, we'll get to that in a minute, though. But yeah, the time bomb is a very good ability. It denies choke points quite well. It can do decently in lane for obviously the damage amp as well as the slow. And later on, it can do some supremely high damage. And you kind of just lob it everywhere. Like, the only way to really avoid it is obviously, good movement, as well as any character that flies can't really be hit by it. So if you're, like, playing Pulse Grenade Paradox, and you see like Vindicta and Grey Talon, I genuinely would just give up and not do the grenade. That's 2 people on their team that you won't really be hitting with a grenade, which, I mean, that kind of sucks, right? But anyways, on its first upgrade, you increase the duration by 0.8 seconds, meaning it will now last for 4 seconds and pulse 5 times. On the second upgrade, you reduce the cooldown by 8 seconds, bringing it down to 20 seconds. And on the third upgrade, you increase the pulse damage by 40, so bringing it up to 80, and you increase the radius per pulse by 0.8 meters, which, if I remember rightly, just makes it so each pulse makes it, yeah. Do you see the idea? Like, later on, if you say, have greater expansion, like, I mean, look how big the first impulse is, or first pulse is going to be. Then with each subsequent one, like, look how big that is. That's not a small radius at all. And of course you can also buy superior duration, which then makes it last even longer, pulse even more, and just get you see the idea. These 2 abilities are like her favorites. Like, these 2 work so well with the bomb that it just does some you saw how big that radius was. You can hit like the entire team in that, and quite easily, mind you, because you can just like lob it. I mean, look how far away I can lob this thing. That little dude over there who's running around, I can just lob it. This is what I meant by Paradox is a long-range hero. Because, I mean, well, look how far away the bomb can be thrown. Like, I have to be basically backed up against this wall to even prevent myself from hitting. I mean, I might even be able to hit him if he walks. See? I'm able to hit him from all the way over here. Bomb is stupid with, of course, all of the right upgrades. But please do keep in mind, early on, it's on a 28-second cooldown. So you kind of want to be throwing your bombs when you know you can actually do some damage. Or at least get a little bit of damage off. A bit of poke, as they say. Anyways, on her second ability is known as Time Wall. It lasts for 6 seconds, has a 25-second cooldown, and you create a time warping wall that stops time for all enemy projectiles and bullets that touch it. Enemies that touch the wall will be briefly slowed. Time stop duration is 0.5 seconds, the damage on touch is 46 spirit damage, and the movement slow is 80%. The wall width is 7 meters and the wall height is 3.5 meters. Now, when you press 2, you will just immediately place this sort of blue wall that prevents anything from really coming through it. I mean, how am I going to show this? You know, actually, let's try this, right? So, Infernus, fighting Infernus. I just noticed, why does Infernus's, like, glasses turn off if I get closer? Anyways, you can put up this wall, by the way, anywhere. Like, if I jump and look downwards, it will just place it below me. Or if I look upwards, it will place it like that. Or if I look like this, it will be placed in a sort of diagonal fashion. Which allows you to kind of place the wall. Say if there's like a Vindicta flying around, you can just like do that. And it will sort of, just to show what it actually does though, this is probably going to be very awkward, but I'm going to have to like quickly do this. Make into puppet. And as you see there, when obviously he sort of shoots through the thingy, like through the wall, the bullets get like stopped. Actually, just to show that, I'll put on superior duration just to make the wall last longer. But yeah, Infernus shoots through the wall, and as you can see, the bullets kind of like stop for a moment before then passing through. And then that will go for all projectiles, mind you. So any abilities that have an actual projectile that's shot out, like say Kelvin's grenades or something, those will get stopped in a similar fashion going through that wall. And if enemies, pass through said wall, they'll take a burst of damage and be immensely slowed. Like, look how slow that is. It's actually, like, the slower for this thing is ridiculous. But this is your defensive ability. This is for when people are, because as I said, Paradox wants to play from a long range. So this is your ability for when people are either pushing you or you are being in a engagement with another character that fights from long range. It's odd that she has an ability that kind of helps her with both kind of characters. Like Drifter can get countered by this because he obviously wants to be up in your face shooting you with his shotgun blasts. Like you put down the time wall, he will get slowed immensely, or he won't even be able to shoot you through it. Of course, it's not like a guarantee, oh, they can't hit me, because as you saw, the bullets kind of get stopped for a brief moment before passing through the wall completely. But this is kind of a tool to help you kind of defend yourself. Say you're fighting, again, Vindicta from a long range, she jumps up in the sky, you can just put your wall up, and then all of her bullets can just be easily avoided, because they'll get stuck in here before coming through. But if, say, someone like Drifter or Abrams is chasing you down, you can just kind of walk here, put down the wall, and if they pass through it, they'll be slowed by 80%, which is nothing to scoff at. 80% is a huge number for movement slows. And remember, of course, as I said, she's very good in choke points. So say you are running around the map, you can actually just place this down, place down your bomb. So now they have to walk through a wall and get 80% slowed, as well as the slow from her grenade. You get the idea. But of course, it can obviously be useful against long range heroes because you can kind of just put it up and get 3 shots off, because none of your bullets are affected by the wall. And it does also sync well with her ultimate, but I'll discuss that when we get to her ultimate. Anyways, on the first upgrade, you increase the wall's width and height by 2 meters and 1 meter respectively. On the second upgrade, you make it so enemies take 9% max health damage on touch. And on the third upgrade, enemies that touch the time wall will be silenced for 2.5 seconds. further emphasizing it as a defensive tool to be used against people that are trying to run you down. Because now they are taking basically they're taking 9% of their max health as damage when they pass through the wall. That is guarantee 9% loss. There is nothing that can negate that because it is max health damage. And of course they'll be then silenced, meaning that they can't do any abilities at all. Like say you're getting chased by Bebop on low health. He runs through that wall, he can't hook you in. He can't put a bomb on you. And he's slowed by 80%. Like you can almost not, you don't get to get away for free per se, but you might as well if they walk through the time wall. Like they're silent, so they can't do any abilities. All they can do is shoot you. They can't even shoot through the wall. So if they wanted to shoot you behind it, they can't. And they get damaged. They lose like 10% of their health. So yeah, like this is a very good ability for when someone is chasing you down. Like as you just saw here, like just to show how wide the wall gets with the second upgrade, by the way, like that's quite a wide wall. Like if I place it down in front of me, like that's a big ass wall. That's like, you know, it's like how many? Like 10 paradoxes, maybe? But like if I look in this like little choke point here, it just blocks the entire thing. And then some. Like it just completely prevents anyone from kind of coming through unless they want to take that damage and that slow. So it's very rare that you can kind of get killed if someone walks through it, unless they're like, you know, someone who does gun damage and you are literally on a single digit of health. You don't really have anything to worry about. It allows you to poke as well quite safely, as I said. But again, very good ability, very strong. Obviously, as I said, prevents people from jumping you, allows you to fight at long range even better than you already do. Win-win. Now we're onto our third ability, known as Kinetic Carbine. It has a 30-second cooldown. You charge up a powerful shot of time energy and deal spirit damage whilst applying a time stop to enemies hit. The damage dealt increases with weapon damage. Move speed is increased while charging. While in the air and charging, you can hold down the aiming button to time slow your movements. The max damage you deal is 68. The max time stop is 0.4 seconds and the bonus speed is 25 move speed. However, that does also scale with spirit damage. The minimum damage you can do is 42. The charge hold duration, so like how long you can keep your max charge up, is 3.5 seconds, and the headshot damage bonus is 14%. Lots of words, lots of numbers. Now, this ability is what allows you to go into the second pathway that I mentioned earlier. Spirit is obviously for, like, this ability does deal spirit damage, like, you know, it does, you know, initial hit of spirit damage, but the damage of the shot increases with your weapon damage. So if you were to do a spirit build, you know, pulse grenade is usually going to be your go-to ability. But in my personal preference, I like to do gun builds, which allow my kinetic carbine to hit like a freight train. Can I aim very well? No, of course not. However, the satisfaction of hitting this shot is unlike anything I've ever felt before. So, in my case, you would build, say, a lot of gun stuff. Example. But to actually show what the ability looks like, you press 3, you begin to sort of charge up, you get like these cogs floating around you for some reason, and as you see, you get like extra movement speed once it's sort of fully charged. And as you see, there's like a purple aura around the end of the gun, and once it's fully charged and you press shoot, you shoot like a big kind of blast that flings the gun upwards, and it does its initial big hit of damage. Now, just to show, funny enough, I just noticed it actually does take out 1 bullet from your mag, as if you shot a single shot, even though, you know, her weapon is a 5-round burst. But just to show what the slow thing they mentioned is, if you jump up and you kind of like halt in the air, in a sense. So once it's fully charged, of course, you double jump, halt in the air, and then bang. Neat. I really like this. I really like this ability. It just feels so satisfying to just kind of like the sound work on the sort of bang when you hit them just feels so good. And of course, if you build into a bunch of gun stuff, like say Headhunter, which is, you know, a very good. I know this person, as you can see from the annotation, doesn't really like it too much. I enjoy this weapon, or enjoyed this ability. It just literally, this thing can just hit like a freight train. And the best part is, obviously, you're building into gun for, you know, the benefit of this ability. You're increasing the damage your actual gun does as well at the same time. So it's a win-win. Now your default gun is going to be better just unanimously, but now your kinetic carbine is going to hit like a freight train. Good. right? And I don't know if I can actually headshot that enemy because it didn't look like it did the extra damage. Okay, it does. So how much damage does it do on a body shot then? Okay, it is like a literally almost minute increase. But obviously, the more damage this weapon or the ability does, you know, the more damage, extra damage that headshot will look like. But anyways, on its first upgrade, the maximum time stop... Yeah, actually, wait, before I move on, I need to acknowledge the fact that the time stop does exist. So obviously, once you, say, shoot an enemy, like this fella right here, you saw that, right? That sort of brief period where they're barely even moving, that can really screw people over. Like, because it kind of like prevents them from moving from, say, a next instance of damage. There has been times where I've managed to time shot someone with, you know, the carbine, and then they immediately get hit by something else solely because of the slow. Like in a game that I played, I think it was yesterday, I had a Viscous on my team who was literally this close from killing someone. I managed to hit the kinetic carbine on them. It brought them down to a single digit of health, and Viscous just rolled into them and got the kill. Otherwise, they would have been able to get under Walker and would have been able to live. So that slow down, like that time stop, can really hurt. Like, it really can, like, get people killed. But the reason I had to mention the strength of it is because on the first upgrade, you increase the max time stop by 0.4 seconds, bringing it to 0.8. On the second upgrade, you reduce the cooldown by 8 seconds and increase the charge hold duration by 2 seconds, bringing the cooldown to 22 seconds, and the amount of time that you can hold your, you know, full charge at 5.5 seconds. And on its third upgrade, you increase the max damage scaling by 50%. So the max damage went from, what was that? It was, hold on. How do I remove a thingy from the... I don't remember how to remove it. 1 second. So it went from 65 to 81. There you go. And, yeah, no, that's its third upgrade. Which, by the way, that third upgrade now allows it to do even more damage with even more scaling. So if I were to buy every single gun upgrade in the stratosphere, now it will deal even more damage. Like, the amount of damage Kinetic Carbine can do is just insane. Like, you can actually one-shot people under the right circumstances. It is one of the most fun abilities to use in the game. It's very stylish, which, you know, she is meant to be style over substance. Like, it just feels fun to use. Like, there's very few characters in the game where I can feel the joy of, like, you know, dash jumping off of a building and just sniping someone in midair with the carbine. Like, it just feels so good to use. And it's usually my go-to sort of investment when it comes to, you know, Paradox. But moving forward, her fourth ability is known as Paradoxical Swap. It is a 25-meter range and a 70-second cooldown, which is incredibly short. I think, if I remember rightly, I said this in a previous video, but she has the shortest cooldown, ultimate-wise, of any character in the game. And that is usually, that is because it's not as impactful as most other abilities are. But either way, you fire a projectile that swaps your position with the target enemy hero. While the effect occurs, you gain spirit lifesteal and the enemy takes damage over time. The swap damage is 115 at base and it scales with spirit, and the lifesteal from the spirit damage dealt is 80%. Now to show what that looks like, you press 4 and immediately you will shoot out this like blue projectile which has a person in it for some reason. I'm not actually sure what that is meant to be, but either way you can see like the range is it's not like super long range, but like it's a long enough range. And if you hit an enemy, you'll then sort of deal damage over time as well as swap places with the person. Now, this ability is kind of an odd one. As I said, this is probably the weakest part of her kit, but it can be very strong in the right scenario. Say, for example, you're chasing someone down with a teammate behind you, and you manage to swap places with the enemy. Now your teammate's up close and personal with them, can kill them, etc, etc. However, you do need to be careful because you can accidentally swap places with an enemy and throw yourself into their team. So you kind of need to be careful what you do with the swap. Like, it's all nice and dandy when you know, do that sort of spirit damage. You do your little big burst of damage and such, but you can seriously put yourself in bad positions. You need to be aware of where you are, where they are, where anyone else is, to make sure that when you do the swap, you can get a kill. Because there have been instances where I've swapped with someone and all I've done is put them in a better position to run away from me. because, you know, I just didn't really think about what I was doing when I pressed the button to swap. But you can also do a little combo with the swap, which I did allude to earlier, which is by putting up your wall and then swapping with someone. They will pass through the wall. It will count as them passing through it. So they'll take that big burst of damage, as well as, of course, the, you know, immense slow and max health decrease. But you can actually charge up the kinetic carbide and shoot it immediately after, you know, coming out of the swap. Or you could throw a bomb at your feet, swap with them, and then, you know, they take a few hits from the bomb, say, like this. I missed that shot. Oh my god, no. I missed that shot so damn bad. You saw what I was trying to do though. Bomb, wall, charge up carbine, and then swap, or charge up, bomb, wall, swap, and then once they're on the other side, hit the shot. It's like a decent combo that you can do. You can just do like all of your abilities at once, and then, you know, in most instances, say if you've built for a lot of spirit, that will do a lot of damage. But otherwise, you do need to be quite careful when using it, because you can just kind of fling yourself into the enemy team and get yourself killed. But anyways, on your first upgrade, you reduce the cooldown by 15 seconds. So bringing it down to 55, which is unbelievably short. Remember, that can be shortened even further with stuff like transcendent cooldown and stuff. So yeah, your ult will basically be your fourth ability. It's not even an ultimate at this point. You might as well just be using it every time you can. Obviously, you know, as I said, please do keep in mind where you are, what you're doing, etc. But on the second upgrade, you increase the swap damage by 90, increasing it to 205. And on the third upgrade, you increase the cast range by 15 meters, bringing it to 40 meters, which now allows you to swap with people from like way further away. It's a good ability, but it is probably the weakest part of her kit in my opinion, because it does require you to kind of be in the right scenario where you can use it. You can't just kind of throw it out all willy-nilly. You just need to think. You need to use your brain. And unfortunately for myself, I don't really have much of a brain. So, yeah, kind of a annoying ability for someone like me to use, because I usually aren't very aware of my positions and what have you. I mean, I'm not stupid enough to throw myself into the team, but I do obviously sometimes struggle to keep in mind where I'm pulling a person. A lot of the time it'll just result in me missing a kill, which isn't like the end of the world, but it can be later on in the game, etc, etc. But it's a good ability. It's just I'm not very good with it. I'm sure some of you may have better experience or, you know, be better at this character than me. So as a result, you may enjoy this ability or sing its high praises more than I would. But either way, it's a good ability. I'm just not very good with it. But yeah, Paradox's gameplay does require her to play at a long distance, as I'm sure I mentioned I did mention many times. The bomb has a ridiculously far throwing range. The carbide has, I think it's like infinite range. I don't think this thing has a bullet drop off. Like, it will just keep going forever until it hits something, whether that be a wall or a person. The wall, speaking of the wall, you're able to, you know, prevent people from jumping you and the such. Your ult is obviously good at kind of, see, her entire gameplay wants her to stay away from people, but if you were to use, say, the swap at a close range, you will literally just be like 2 inches from someone. I don't know, it's kind of a weird ability to use. Like, the rest of her kit wants her to play at long range, and although this obviously can, you know, be used from a very long range away, it can kind of just put you in bad situations. I don't know. It's like, I just like I like her base kit. I just don't really like her ultimate all too much. But it's not a bad ultimate, not at all. I'm sure some people have obviously got like some, as I said, you can do a burst combo with like pushing someone through the wall, which can, you know, sometimes secure you a kill. But I don't know. Still, it's kind of a weird ability to use for me, at least. But yeah, I like Paradox's gameplay a lot, mostly because of the carbide, or the carbine. I just really enjoyed the shooting sound effect. And yeah, I think she's really fun to play as. Very, very fun to play as. A lot of style, you can do a lot of cool tricks with her, etc, etc. So, with all of that said, we are now going to be moving on to talking about her design. And I'm going to be honest, Paradox might just have like one of the best designs in the whole game. Can I say that? I think she probably has one of the best designs in the whole game. Is it slightly unfinished? Yes. Her gun is lacking any sort of real like texturing on it, and honestly I'm not even sure what her gun's meant to be. I have no clue what this thing is at all. It doesn't really say anything or tell me anything, but her design is just so good. Like, as a base design, it just works so well. And of course a lot of it has to do with the mask. I have no idea what this thing is. It look a Holiday's quote, it looks like a fishbowl, and it has like a little sort of hourglass thing in the middle of it, which, I mean, makes sense considering all of her time-related shenanigans. And if you're curious, I have no idea how she controls time in any way, shape, or form. I don't think she even knows. I swear she has a joke where she says she has no idea how all of it works, but just be happy it works. And you know what? Fair woman, I'm not going to question you. But I just love her design. It just looks great. Like, the fishbowl is an iconic bit of sort of iconography. Like, I'm not kidding. Her design is just like smash out here. It already has an iconic look to it. Because, I don't know, there's not many characters who have a fishbowl sitting on their head with a little hourglass in the middle of it. But her color scheme is just really good. Like the sort of maroon, pinkish brown color. That is maroon, right? It's like a purpley red. That's a really lovely color. I love the sort of chat, like the jacket. Words. I just love the combination of colors she has. Like a beige sort of trench coat with the maroon under area. That looks lovely. The sort of blue works weirdly well. Like, the blue is a contrast, but it really just works. I don't know how, but it just looks lovely on her. The blue rose in her pocket, by the way, if you're curious, blue roses aren't real. They have to be genetically created. They aren't natural, but they apparently symbolize, I think, mystery, which, you know, makes sense for someone like Paradox. But like sort of the black gloves, the black okay, they're not heels. They're kind of they're just flat. They're just black boots. They're just flat black boots. Either way, those look good. Both the gloves and the boots look good. I just love the jacket. The jacket is just so easy and simple and cool. Like, it's a beige jacket with a maroon under area. Like, that just looks lovely. And I just noticed on the clips sort of here, they're clipped by hourglass symbols. Genius. And of course, she is carrying this sort of cracked hourglass on her back. This is obviously where all of her power comes from. I have no idea how any of that works. I hope that we figure out eventually, but I know, like, Paradox's design is just perfect. Like, it's just perfect. I don't know how else to put it. Outside of, you know, being relatively unfinished, you know, with an unfinished gun, a lot of her design kind of lacking any texture. Like, her trousers are just a flat grey. Her boots are just flat black. There is no indication of texture on these or any sort of fabric. Like, I have no idea what those boots are made out of. They could be made out of plastic for all I know. But besides the fact that she's, you know, kind of due for a spruce up a little bit, like, as a base design, this is perfect. Fantastic. All they literally need to do is take this design and then give it some sort of detail and texture. That's it. You are perfect. She would be like top 3 designs in this entire game. And with her design, coupled with her like very fun personality and her Scottish accent, it just turns into a character that I really love. Like, I'm sure you saw the transitionary slides between the sections. She is my wife and you lot are all schizophrenic. I am not stupid. She is real to me. As who the hell said that? I swear it was from a Star Wars game or something. Either way, I just think she's incredibly entertaining. I love her design with all of my heart. Like, it's genuine, like, top 3 designs for me. And if you're curious who some of my other favorite designs are, Viscous is one of them, and I'll mention the other one in literally just a second. But yeah, I love Paradox's design, I love her gameplay, I love her sort of fun personality, and I wish we knew more about the Paradox organization, but like a lot in this game, such as, you know, Doorman's very existence, I feel like revealing more would shatter the illusion. It would kind of remove what I think is interesting. The best things, the most fun things are things that you don't know. Like, knowing more about the Paradox organization would kind of ruin the image that I'm able to conjure up in my mind. So maybe it's best we don't know more about them. But Paradox as a character is incredibly fun, incredibly entertaining to play as and, you know, listen to, as well as having one of the best and probably one of the most iconic designs from this entire game. With that all said, this is now the end of the video. I hope you have enjoyed it. Like, comment, and subscribe if you feel so inclined, or if you managed to make it this far. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, whether that be a good morning, afternoon, evening, etc. And the next episode in this series will be on one of my favorite designed characters in the whole game, through story, gameplay, design, etc. And a character who I would say is probably my favorite, by far. Not by far, but probably my favorite in the whole game. That being none other than Pocket.